Hello, everybody, and welcome to the walk-off. Very excited to once again have returning to the show pitcher in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, Chad Cheese Dallas. Welcome back to the show, my man. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey, by the way, since the last time we chatted, I know a pretty big milestone in your life took place. You got married. Congratulations, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Where was the wedding?
It was in Beaumont, Texas, about 30 minutes out of my hometown.
The whole family there? Big wedding, or how'd it go down?
Yeah, it was a decent size. Me and my wife are from the same area. High schools were in the same district, so had a lot of people in town, and then had a couple Blue Jays guys, a couple of my college teammates come in. It was really fun.
Very cool. I'm actually excited to talk some college ball with you here. We'll get to that a little later on, though. Um, Also, Buck Martinez, are you settled into Florida? I know Buck Martinez gave you the Buck bump here on Blair and Barker the other day, mentioning you by name and being like, "This is a kid. You watch out for him." So nice.
I, I'm in Florida. The camp has started, and I've got a couple of conversations with Buck, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and it's really funny how much weight the things he says holds to Blue Jays fandom because he's been around forever, right? So I know I was seeing your name everywhere on Twitter yesterday after he mentioned you, and I'm like, yes, Cheese, getting the attention he deserves. Atta boy. So, like you said, spring training, it's ramping up now. You've already
Yeah.
been there for a couple weeks. I'm curious, before obviously games get going on Saturday here, what is that first couple weeks of camp? What is it all about? Like, can you give us the day-to-day, just getting your feet wet, what it's like to just get accustomed and acclimated to the environment again?
Yeah, there's always a good buzz going around the locker rooms, and because about mid to late off season, everybody starts to get the itch to get back in season, be around the guys again, and it's good, man. Meeting a lot of new people, either new faces or guys you just haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, and so yeah, you're doing the same stuff as usual. Your catch play, your lifting, your recovery, your all the training room stuff, whatever. But it's you get to do it with the guys that you were with last year and some new guys. So it's really cool to have everybody back in the same locker rooms and stuff. And usually, especially around the beginning of spring training, it's like a really really good buzz. Like you're super excited to get back into it. Maybe your friends or teammates, whatever, brought in a new pitch, so you get to watch that. You get to
Yeah.
watch guys throw and hit that you've never seen do it before, and it's really cool, really cool.
They've got all that footage of Blue Jays pitchers throwing and everyone behind them. Are you a guy that likes that attention? Do you like when everyone's watching what you're doing?
Um, I try to block it out. I mean, it's kind of hard to block it out. Um, like for bullpens, it's definitely harder. But like when you do something like a live at bat or something with guys, it really is like you see everybody, obviously, like there's a ton of people. But in that moment, it's just you, the catcher, and the hitter. So you're trying to lock it in for that. And yeah, no, it doesn't really matter if people are watching, they're watching. If not, it's okay. I'm still just gonna try to throw strikes. That's all it is.
I know you mentioned the itch, right? You get halfway through the off season. How long does it take for your brain to reset and just start to feel like, okay, I'm like recovering and recuperating and like a long season has gone by? How long does it take for you before you're like, okay, I wanna get on a mound again?
Yeah, it's I don't know if there is a specific
Yeah.
time. Uh a lot of it's just, I guess it depends on the year before. Like 2 years ago, I was, whenever I did start to get the itch, it was a itch to kind of come back to have, to try to come back and have a better year than the 2022 season, where I struggled a good bit. And this year was kind of a different mindset of, trying to build off the year I had last year. But I don't know. It takes like you want to say like weeks to a couple months or something like that. It just all depends. But once you get it, like it hits you pretty quickly. You're like, all right, like Florida and get everything moving and stuff. So for sure.
It's funny how that works. I relate. I know when COVID hit, obviously, and everything shut down, and I couldn't do comedy anymore. You couldn't work. And like at first, I was like, holy, I had no idea how burnt out I was. And like
Yeah.
the first few weeks, I was like, oh, this is nice, like, but then yeah, you feel it, right? Like it's like a fire in your belly. You're like, this thing that I love, I'm not doing.
You have the same routine throughout the season of going to the field, getting your work done, and then especially for me as a starter, you watch 5 out of the 6 games played in that week, and then you get your one, sometimes two opportunities depending on the week to pitch. But you're in such a routine for so long, you get home and you have nothing to do. So for a while, it's really nice. You get to relax for however long you want, and then but once that itch hits, it's ready to go. You don't know what to do with yourself for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine that shutdown for the first week is nice, where there's not even the guilt of not doing anything, right? You're just like, oh, I can just relax. It's great. Okay, so we've been very lucky here on the walk off with how generous you've been with your time since literally since you got drafted. I think this is your third time coming on the show. And I know the last episode you did was in June. You'd just gotten called up to New Hampshire, and you were telling us that you were working on a cutter in your repertoire. You weren't feeling great about it yet, but you were definitely excited about it and starting to see some return on investment, if you will, on the cutter. So for everyone listening right now, I know your name's a buzz right now after the buck bump. So we'll let everyone know you're a guy who lots of spin on your ball, right? You got that slider. I guess the new term is sweeper is what you're throwing. Not a velo guy, more about location. So tell us why you added the cutter, what you were trying to do there with it, how you're feeling about it coming into 2024.
Yeah. So the idea of it was uh, to help the fastball. We got a lot of guys in this org that can blow some smoke through the strike zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get my velo up every once in a while, but it's not going to be, like a 99, a 98 kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was just to kind of help my other pitches, have something in between the fastball and the slider, something, the shape of it, just right in the middle of it, that I've learned, or I guess learned or been able to figure out how to throw it decently hard and keep it just a little under the fastball. Um, and that was about it. Just kind of something for the hitter to think about. And then for one, once that cutter's in their head, they have to respect, especially like a lefty. They have to respect the pitch coming into them with some firmness, and then the pitch also that'll be a little slower with the slider. And then for righties, are you going to run out of barrel or are you going to hit it if it's a fastball? So it just kind of add in a different look for the hitter. And as of right now, it's one of my favorite pitches to throw now.
That's awesome, man. I love that when you're working on something and you start to really see it paying off, that's always a very exciting moment, right? Are you an analytics guy, Chad? Like, are you a guy who like you're throwing your pitch and you're like, how many revolutions was that? Did I hit 3,000? Or do you care about the actual number on the spin? Is it more of a feel for you? Like, I know
Yeah,
when I say analytics, by the way, I'm speaking more the real nerd stuff like the revolutions, not just information on the hitter you're facing.
yeah. So I like it sometimes, like uh bullpen probably more. Like in the game, I'm just gonna go out there and see what's working, and then if I figure something out, then we'll just keep going with it. Not too big on the numbers in game. In the bullpen, it's kind of more so like I won't ask about a lot, just every once in a while, just like for a cutter, I try to have like some vertical Yeah, I'm not too good with it. I kind of know how it works, not too good with it. So carry, as people say, like a fastball carries. So keep the vert brake on it with moving glove side. So every once in a while, if especially like if you throw something and it doesn't really look good to your eye, sometimes it does look good to other eyes who their eyes are sitting still watching. So it's a little easier. But yeah, there's a couple of pitches that I just will look at and just kind of see if the shape is staying true to usually how the season shapes are, and if not, like it won't really change the way. um I guess, let's see, how am I trying to say this? It won't change really like a lot of things about the bullpen. I'll just maybe try something else. Maybe if it's, moving your wrist a little bit from here to here, seeing if that, or like here to here, seeing if that keeps the shape of whatever pitch I'm throwing at the moment. But yeah, I don't dig too deep into it. But I definitely check in with it, if I can say that.
Well, of course. I mean, any information you can garner is always going to be helpful. And my next question might be a little ignorant here. Because I want you to tell me about your curveball. I know that you had some slight adjustments on it over the last year. I think I'm paraphrasing here last time you talked to me, and I didn't actually go watch the interview. So this is just from memory. But I think you were saying that you were spiking your curveball more. Can you explain what spiking the curveball means and what you're trying to get out of doing that?
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to explain if I had a
A
baseball on.
baseball.
Surprisingly, did not have a baseball. Um, but my original curveball grip was just the basic fingers together, wrap it around, try to get him out in front of it. And then so instead of that, I just raised the index finger a little bit, and
Ah.
of my index finger on the ball, and it kind of keeps everything locked up to where it's just right here. I can still get around it every once in a while, but um, yeah, just throwing a bullpen last spring training, and it you know wasn't really feeling good. Couldn't really put in the zone. You know, just didn't have the feel for it. So we started spiking it and using the spike curveball grip, and just got a little more consistent. And yeah, still using the spike curveball grip right now, and it's feeling pretty good.
Because your fastball, and you touched on this, right? I, it sits around 92. Listen, I know you get it up to 95, but if we're just going to go on your average fastball, it's probably sitting right there around 92. And it always impresses me every time I talk to you because you're a guy that, like, you're unfazed by the fact you're not heavy velo, right? In a time in baseball where, frick, the amount of dudes who can rear back and hit 100 when they're in need, it's mind blowing. Like, even compared to 10 years ago, it's probably doubled, right? But that's never been your go-to, right? You're still leading the Blue Jays minor league system with strikeouts, by the way you pitch. Like, you had 144 last year, which is phenomenal, over one an inning. So tell me, how often are you throwing, like, how do you throw your fastball when you're a guy who pitches from his breaking stuff? So when are you trying to throw that fastball in there, and how are you using your fastball to help your other stuff play up?
Yeah. So um, I mean, I'll use it. A lot of it's to try to get ahead in the count. My mindset is kind of, if they put the ball in play, I got a couple of guys behind me that can uh, have the chance to get them out. So a lot of it's just kind of to use it to attack. And then like we've touched on the cutter a little bit. Like um, it kind of helps if we need to go back door on a lefty hitter. You know, throw a fast if I miss fastball up and out to a left-handed hitter, then that opens up the cutter, because if they see that fastball coming up and out of the zone, just see if we can get it to a little cut in. Um, but yeah, it's just you attack with your fastball, and not necessarily me. I attack with usually some off speed. but yeah, just trying to get it to your spot, trying to see if you can stay out of the heart of the plate and stay off the barrel.
Well, what's great to see is when you moved up to double A, it was still working, right? Like pitching off your breaking stuff. And normally double A is where you kind of notice if you're dominating with breaking stuff in high A, it's because they're not seeing a lot of it, right? So like it's good to see you make that next jump up and still be able to dominate in the way that you were. We're gonna take a left turn here though and talk college baseball.
Right.
I want to talk college baseball because for our Canadian listeners, the main listenership we have here, college sports in Canada are so different, man. Like they're so different. They're an afterthought. They're underfunded. And really, when the best athletes in Canada are looking at colleges, they normally go south of the border. And I'm curious on your experience with college sports, because in the US, it is such a big deal. I'd love to hear about the Tennessee Volunteers. And I know they're not the only organization because we've had lots of guys on from Vanderbilt and many different, systems and stuff where they really do feel like a family. And you're watching the alumni come back later and kind of like, impart wisdom to the students and athletes then. And like, it's a very foreign idea to us Canadians, but man, it looks so cool. Can you tell us a little bit about what college sports is like and how it's helped you in your career?
Yeah, it's definitely like you were saying, it's a huge deal. I'll start with my days at Panola Junior College because I had two Canadian guys on that team. Um, JUCO was definitely different than my experience at Tennessee. We were in the sticks of East Texas and didn't really have much to do, so you just kind of make your own fun. But it's I mean, you spend every day with your teammates, even at this level now. But like in college, you're all fighting for the same goal. Like you're trying to win the games, but yeah, yes, but like you're also trying to make it to professional baseball. But you're just with those guys every day, so it really is a family. And then at Tennessee, it's that's when you start to get the crowd involved and the big fan base and the passionate fan base, and um, it was an insane 2 years of my life. I'll say that fan base for one, Vol Nation, it is pretty unreal. Very passionate about Tennessee sports as they should be. But it's kind of hard to explain. You get in front of the big crowds that really are, they're diehard fans, and everybody knows how diehard fans are. You got to win. So, but yeah, no, it's awesome. It kind of helps you, or it helped me. Like, any game that we play in front of a decently big fan base, it's not as new to me anymore since I got the college experience. So that helps, and then especially like the volume at minor league games. Um, I'm not even going to compare the fan base noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna compare the show noise to college baseball noise. But it gets loud, and especially like when we were in Omaha in 21, I think it was I don't know, like 20, 15, 20, 25,000 people. It was a ton of people, and kind of the same thing. Like my I think my coach Tony Vitello told me, get on the mound, do a spin around, acknowledge that everybody is here, and then just lock in on the catcher. And that's kind of, I try to do that now, especially when there's a big, a stadium like the Hartford Yard Goats, who just filled with fans and loud. That's a fun place to play. You just kind of do a little spin, acknowledge everybody, make sure you see everybody that's in the crowd, and then bam, it's ready to you don't have to pay attention to them anymore. You and the catcher.
Do you go back to Tennessee every once in a while? Have you been back since you left?
Yeah, I do. I didn't get to go this off season. Got a little busy. So I made a promise to the coaches that I'd be back next year for a week
Awesome.
or two. Also had to let my wife know in advance, a year in advance, that
Yeah, of
she'll.
course.
She loves it up there. She didn't go to school there, but she got to visit a whole bunch. And so she loves it up there. I love it up there. So I try to go, usually in the off season, I'll try to go at least for a week. I have family at home, so I can't just like leave everybody. But a lot of my buddies that I played with, we talk all the time, and group messages or whatever. But some of those guys spend their whole off season up there, and that's kind of going back to the college question. Is just that's kind of how the culture is of college baseball. It's you go back there and train for your season while those guys are getting pretty close to their season, and you do things with those guys or like training, throwing, whatever it is. You
Kind
always
of
feel like
lifting each other up, eh?
there's always a place for the guys who have been there, and that's especially at Tennessee. I think that's I've always thought that was really cool. Like when we were there, we had alumni coming back to train. So seeing those guys is, for one, you get to see your goal right in front of you, and then two, it's just really cool to know that you always have a place there.
So speaking of lifting each other up, obviously affiliate baseball is trying to do the exact same thing, right? And it is. Obviously no one experiences success without others helping them out from time to time and imparting experience, imparting wisdom. When you look back on your affiliate career to this point, are there some guys that kind of stand out to you that really helped with like some of the heavy lifting when it comes to like the mental side of the game, or even some coaches that have pointed something out or given you a trick that just maybe even not baseball related, but just helped with life and just dealing with pressure and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, heck, almost every teammate I've talked to has helped, especially on the baseball side. The little things. Like Manoah in my bullpen today, he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Hey, like when you're in the game and you miss your spot, whatever, don't let the hitter know. Don't like make sure the hitter thinks or make sure the hitter knows that you tried to like miss in that area. Don't let them know that you accidentally missed over there." And it's a little thing. Then now the hitter's going, "Oh, he's missing. He can't find it. He's trying to find it. Once he's going to come back in the zone, and I'm ready for it." And it's something little like that that Manoah, just noticed in my bullpen or live, whatever it was. And it's something you don't even think about. You're just thinking about, oh, how was I supposed to make that pitch better? And they, other people see it better than you can see it on yourself. So that was something. And then like in 22 in Vancouver, pitching coach Phil Kendari, who's now I think the AA pitching coach with the Phillies, if I'm not mistaken. um when I was kind of going through my mental state of, I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to fix it, just that kind of situation, we didn't even talk baseball. He would just find time to just chat with me and just talk through just random stuff, just kind of hanging out. And I thought that was really nice of him. I still talk to him every once in a while. And so yeah, like he's been one guy that has really helped me through I guess probably one of the toughest times of my mental baseball career, for sure.
Isn't it wild how, I mean, really, there's a mental side to everything. It doesn't really matter whether it's baseball or life or whatever it is. But it is so funny how you can get that mental block in there, or even just something as obvious as what Manoah is saying. And it's funny because even as you said that, I'd never thought of that. But it totally makes absolute sense. Why would you give away to the hitter that you're not hitting your spots, right? Like 100%. But it wouldn't even occur to me. I love that, man. That's so great. Have you ever had a prankster in your baseball career? Someone who maybe in the clubhouse is just really up to no good all the time?
uh my best, I mean, let's see, I think I would definitely go with the bromance of TJ Brock and Mason Fluharty. Those guys are always together, always messing with each other. Uh, and those two, yeah, it's definitely those two. Those two guys, they don't really. they don't.
I love that. It's not a whole, they're not out to get everyone, but they're definitely going to get each other.
Yeah, for sure. Like they'll mess with everybody, but them going at each other, that's a constant, multiple times a day. Those two are just always, that's always going to be on the bingo card.
So I love that. Speaking of TJ Brock, he was the guy that he was telling me that, how did he describe it again? He's like, the vibes between Vancouver and New Hampshire are night and day. Did you
Oh
find the same thing?
yeah, I mean Vancouver just sells out so much. Um, that I mean yeah, that's big thing. It also helps when Vancouver goes to the playoffs 2 years in a row for sure. But I think just Vancouver is a baseball city, whether people like it or not. The people in
Yeah.
Vancouver always hop on a plane and go to Toronto or even go into the States all the time. So it's really cool. You feel like the biggest team in multiple, like hundreds of
Yeah.
miles. And that's how it feels. But no, New Hampshire was good. It's just New Vancouver sells out almost every night. So it's hard to compete
Right.
with.
Okay. I'm getting in trouble right now. I locked my wife out. Give me 1 second, buddy. I'll be right back.
Good.
Apologies. Oh boy. I'm getting knocked on the window here, and she's like, "What are you doing?" All right. I love hearing about Vancouver because everyone, yeah, you've already talked about how the Canadians, the atmosphere at Nat Bailey and everything is incredible, but I was just double checking. I know TJ Brock was going off about vibes, so I love hearing that.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. Super fun to play at.
Okay. So I'm probably not going to word this properly, but I am going to get this thought out, Chad. I promise. So, how much time in minor league games is spent on analytics when it comes to like a pitcher and you're just trying to figure out a game plan for the hitters coming up and stuff like that, versus how much time is spent on uh, like your development and maybe a little less emphasis on the weaknesses of others, but working on getting your strengths up to where they should be. Because obviously winning still matters. I know that. But I mean, affiliate baseball, it is about development. What is that
Yeah.
balance like?
Hmm. The one, I mean, at least for me, I think it's pretty close to about the same. Just because like I made a switch after the 2022 season, um, to like, work on my weaknesses, but when I'm in the game on the mound, going with my strengths. And yeah, your if your strengths are the same as the hitter's strengths, then you just duke it out and see who has comes out on top. And yeah, hitters are going to get their hits, pitchers are going to get their strikeouts, whatever. It's just, if you're pitching with your weakness just because your strength is their strength, I don't know. I see my strengths and I would like to think that they're better than the hitter strengths. Because hitting's hard. Hitting's simply put, it's so yeah, but I think and a lot of it's development. But at the same time, like if I said that my changeup was, the pitch that I've been working on the most, and this guy, one of his weaknesses is changeups, I'm probably gonna throw at least one just see what happens. And but I think you attack with your strengths even if it's the hitter's strengths for sure. Unless you can find a hole where your strength is their weakness, and then it's perfect. But yeah, attack with your strengths for sure.
So, hearing you say that, does that mean your changeup's still a work in progress? I know that's how you described it last time we talked, a work in progress.
It is the we've found another grip that has been more promising, and right now it's like we're starting to get the movement pattern, and now it's just trying to figure out where the misses are and where we need to probably start it on certain how we're gonna pitch it. Do we want it out of the zone? Do we want it in the zone? Just trying to figure out those holes. And but yeah, still a work in progress. It's coming though. Sooner or later, it's gonna
I
happen.
love that confidence. You're like, give it time, it's coming.
Yep.
Um, totally out of left field here, not to get too punny, but the beards around spring training are getting a lot of attention. Is this the most bearded group you've been around? I know Don Mattingly keeps getting some big props on his beard. I know Manoah is coming fully bearded.
I guess I didn't even really notice it until you said that. But yeah, no, um it is a big bearded group. You got JT. I want to say Garcia has a beard right now, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I don't know. I can only I'm gonna hang out with David Schneider and the
Yeah,
mustache
you're gonna the mustache boys forever. Yes.
beard. I wish I could. I'd probably be in the group, but definitely the most bearded group I've ever been a part of. That's for sure. Yeah.
Chad, do you know when your first game is? Are you pitching this weekend?
Um, I don't. I'm not sure. I mean, I may find out tomorrow.
Right.
But I threw a bullpen today. Me and Ricky T threw a bullpen today, so I think maybe there's a chance. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I hope that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Are you looking forward to actually facing some? I know you're doing some live BP and stuff like that, but you looking forward to some game action?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited to get it going. There's a lot of guys in the locker room that I've never played with. Heck, there's a lot of guys in the locker room that I hadn't even met before. So, I'm excited to get it going. See kind of how things start to unravel.
All right, Chad. Honestly, man, I touched on this already. You're always so generous with your time. You're always so quick to come on the show. We really do appreciate it. My co-host Adam, I don't think you've even met him yet, but he was planning on joining us again today and had to pick up his daughter last minute. So he did say to you that he's just waiting until you're a big leaguer and then he gets a piece of that. But
His dog comes way before me. That's for sure.
yeah, that's right. I'll pass that along. His daughter feels the same way.
Uh,
Okay, my man. Do you have a few more minutes for some lister questions before we wrap this up?
for sure.
Okay, so I know that we already touched on your cutter, but this is from Mr. Krister in our Discord. He says you recently added the cutter to your pitching repertoire. My question is, what was your process for learning the pitch? Did you leverage videos? Was it Pitching Ninja? Have you sought advice from any current players in the Jays organizations on how to throw and improve the pitch?
Yeah. So I was originally supposed to learn a cutter my junior year of college, 2021, because my pitching coach's son was Brett Anderson, pitched in the MLB for a good amount of years,
Mm-hmm.
lefty, but so I used his cutter grip and was trying to throw it. That turned into my slider, just getting around it. So I used Brett Anderson as the original cutter grip, but that turned into a slider. So kind of washed everything away. And then it was it was weird how it happened, because at the end of spring training they told me, they brought up the idea of learning one. And for my first 5-6 weeks, my whole time in Vancouver, and then like a week or two in New Hampshire, just like I was trying it in bullpens. I wasn't trying it in games because like it just wasn't moving. So we tweaked a couple grips here and there, and then or 1 week in New Hampshire, because the second week was in Portland against the Red Sox, and my fastball just kind of wasn't in the zone that day as much as we would like it to. And catcher Phil Clark, we had thrown a couple times in the pen, and it had worked a couple of times. So we are like, all right, let's try it. And that week, that's definitely the most cutters I've thrown in a game I just used it as my fastball because it out of nowhere it just worked. And then yeah, just
Trial and
kind of.
error.
I mean, you can't learn it if you don't throw it, and so you know it's all it takes is reps. The changeup is taking way more reps than I'd like it to, but it you know it just takes reps, and that's with anything new. Um, but yeah, no, there's a couple of guys that I want to talk to about it. I know a couple of guys in the big leagues throw a cutter. Um, and so yeah, I'll get with those guys here pretty soon and kind of just see their thoughts of it, when they like to use it, stuff like that.
Okay, sticking with our Discord, Jenny asks, "Hey Chad, thank you so much for coming back on the show. People keep talking about the sweeper. I know that it's just a slider and it's not a new pitch, but it seems new to me. What is a sweeper?"
Gotcha. So you take a slider, kind of. I don't even know if this is going in the right direction. A slider just kind of goes off like that, right? You know, right in between the sweeper is in between a slider and a curveball. You know, just it's the same thing, moving horizontally. But the point of a sweeper is to hold the vertical break, so no downward angle, which is it's hard to do. So you don't always get like the perfect side, the look of it, but the point of it is to keep the vertical break. So if I start at belt high, I want it to end belt high, just like it's like a slower big cutter, if that makes sense. You know, it stays right here instead of doing that, goes all the way around. That's the goal, at
Love that.
least.
Hey,
How good
you
that was.
explained it better than I could have.
I don't know if that was as good as it could have been, but that was as good as it was going to get right then. That was I was trying.
And that's all we ask from you, my man. It's just an effort. So we're going to wrap up with this one. This is our last listener question from Forbesy. He says, if you could steal a pitch from one player in the Jays org, what pitch would you choose and from who?
Hmm. Um, let's see. I'm gonna obvious answer and then a real answer. The obvious answer is anybody that throws 98 to 99. So who we got? You got a couple of guys. Um, Pearson throws flame balls. Mono throws hard. Just you know, I'd love a heater that's up lines, but
This
um,
is the most like breaking pitcher response ever. You're like, I'd love to throw some heat. Like,
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Connor Cook for his sweeper. I'd love to have that. Have his sweep, but I think it's a very it's tough not to say Gosman splitter. It really is. It's I mean, like seeing it
it's incredible.
in game is really cool, and then seeing it in person and kind of hearing him talk his way through certain whether he pulled it, whether he you know left it a little short, arm side, glove side, all this stuff. The way he talks about it, talks his way through it, and then makes the adjustment so quick with it is really cool, and it's one of the best pitches in baseball. So yeah, I wouldn't mind having that in the back pocket.
Yeah, it is one of the most fun pitches to watch. When he's on, like there's times where I'm like, that doesn't even seem human. Like you shouldn't be able to spin it like that. Especially when you watch Pitching Ninja overlay it with his fastball and you're like, as a hitter, like how the hell are you're literally guessing. Like
Yeah,
it looks identical.
you're exactly right. I'm so happy I'm not a hitter anymore. It doesn't make sense.
All right, my man, let's wrap it on that. Thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate it. We had you on when you were a Vancouver Canadian. We had you on when you were a New Hampshire Fisher Cat. It looks like you're probably starting the season in Buffalo. Next time, man. Hopefully it's when you're getting the call up to the bigs, buddy. We're rooting for you.
Appreciate that. Thank y'all for having me on.